the Bellydance Quickies. Today we are going to do some kneeling hip work. And for this, you may want a yoga mat or a towel or knee pads if you like for practicing. Now, a little word on knee pads. If you're performing, unless you have param pants or some other kind of pants on, you probably would not want knee pads on because it just doesn't look very nice. But if you're practicing, you're doing things over and over, then knee pads are just fine. When you're performing, you're doing something maybe down on the floor one time, it's not really such a big deal. But if you're practicing and you want knee pads or something like that, go for it. So we are going to be doing things down on our knees. Now, if you have knee issues or issues adjacent to your knees, say in your hips or in your ankles, that make this problematic for you, then definitely please listen to your body, and maybe this isn't the one for you, and try something else in your practice today. So where can this be useful? Going down on your knees is useful as a transition towards full lying floor work, or just as an interesting point of level change, even if you aren't going to go all the way down to lying floor work. If you are using a balance prop, this is especially handy. It's a very nice way to add level interest and some daring and challenge to your balance pieces. Okay, so we're going to come down to the floor. I'm going to kneel on a little blanket here. So you want to have your knees about still underneath your hip joints right here. Where you put your feet at the back is up to you. Some people like to have their toes down on the floor, so the tops of their toes are down, and some people prefer to have their feet this way, and with your toes kind of tucked under. Now, that may change depending on the movements that you're doing and how your weight has to come back, and also just how comfortable you are in this stretched position with your feet. People who have issues with plantar fasciitis can definitely have some issues with this toes down position. So listen again to your body and make sure that you find a nice place for your feet. Myself, I generally prefer to have my toes down. So the first thing we're going to look at is some movements that go on the frontal plane right here, namely your Maya and your sway, or what I call Maya and sway, which would be Maya vertical 8 over the top and sway vertical 8 coming in. So to do this, to be able to get your hips to move and have room in your hip joints, you're going to have to come back down this way. Now notice you don't want to tip your body too much forward, you want to keep your body upright and come back down. This puts a lot of work right here on your quads, so this will strengthen your quads, but also if you want to prepare yourself for doing things like this, doing hinges, coming back like this and up will help to strengthen your quads for work like this. So coming from here, we're just going to go ahead and come back to get some bend in our hip joints at the thigh so that we can get some elevation in our hip. We're going to come up and over and up and over. So here, you want to take your arms up. Of course, anytime you're doing something down the floor like this, you need nice arm work to balance things out. Usually this is slow music when you're doing something like this. And you can definitely also mix in some sharp things if you have, for example, let's say you have a shiftatelli rhythm. Doom, ka-tek, ka-tek, doom, doom, tek. So let's look at that down here. So if you're doing miles, doom, ka-tek, ka-tek, doom, doom, tek. Doom, ka-tek, ka-tek, doom, doom, tek. So something like that, where you can mix in your smooth things and your sharp things. Okay, let's look at the reverse of that, and this would be your vertical 8 going upwards. So I call this a sway. You may just call it a vertical 8 upward, or maybe you call it an infinity. So again, you're going to need to come down, and from here, we're going to go up and in, up and in, up and in. You can add more or less. Lean on your body in here. Let's look at an ummy. So here we have our interior hip circle. Again, we need to come back and get some depth in our hips here, and come around, and come around. So there's your ummy, right there. One thing you might notice when you are down on your knees trying to generate your hip movement is that if you do have a tendency to help with your knees when you're doing these movements standing up, that you're going to have a very difficult time with these. So I'll give you an example here. Let's go back to that sway. So if you can do your sway without a lot of push from your knees, using your oblique muscles and not using too much pedaling of the legs, then you'll be fine down on the floor. However, if you're doing a lot of pushing through the knees and less generating the movement from up here, once you are down on your knees and you can't push for them, you'll find that that makes things feel quite a bit different. And that's also true with your ummies. So if you're pushing through your knees a lot with your ummies, then getting the same kind of range of motion once you're down on your knees is going to feel much more different. So I hope you like this one, and remember to listen to your body. Being down on your knees in floor work is not for everyone. If you have knee issues, if you have back issues, if you have ankle issues, or other things that are going to preclude you from doing anything, please always listen to your body. Dancing should not hurt. But if you are up for going down on your knees, remember that this is very taxing on your quads. So you may feel this one the next day or feel it while you're doing it. But the more that you do it, the stronger that you will get at it and the better quality your movement will be. So if you like this one, make sure you hit like right down there, maybe share it with a friend, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're not a subscriber to the email Bellydance Quickies, which comes out 3 days a week, you can check the link in the box down there and find all the things that don't land here on YouTube. You guys have a really great week. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.